Hearing the phrase, appreciate what you have before it's gone, has never really sunk in until about 2 years ago. It was October 14th, 2011, when I almost lost my father. For a while, my father Louis was unemployed. My dad had applied at several jobs with absolutely no luck. After such a prolonged wait, he finally got hired for Waste Pro. It was his first day on the job, and he was extremely thrilled that after so long, he would finally be able to financially support our family again. To become a Waste Pro employee, one must go through extensive training before even getting on a truck. But they never trained my dad. As the day began, my father was working with another man, the driver. Coincidentally, it was the driver's first days as well. Someone is holding on by the outside of the truck, so there was no worry in my dad's mind. When the driver headed out, he hit a speed bump. My dad instantly flew off 50 feet back and banged his head on the scorching road. He extended his right arm out first so the impact wouldn't be so rough, but that didn't help much. My father's impact was horrific. Smashing his head on the ground, blood began to pool. As the ambulance rushed to Lee Memorial Hospital, I was still sitting in my lifeless classroom, completely clueless that my dad was fighting for his life. My grandfather soon picked me up from school. As I approached my grandparents' house, my family's car from Miami was parked right outside their driveway. Me, of course, thinking they came to surprise us. I was overjoyed, and the excitement that I felt was pretty ridiculous because my day was going extremely well. On our way home, we had taken a different route, and I got curious. My grandpa told me that my uncle wanted us to stop to get some coffee, and then he broke the dreadful news to me. I rushed to the 8th floor to ICU to find my father with the ball on his head. His eyes were shut, blood was dripping down the right side of his head, and a tube running down his esophagus. I fell to the ground with nothing but screams. My knees gave out while I was holding onto the bed, being pulled by my mother. Then I froze, nothing but silence, taking in the thought that everything I had was being taken away from me. The doctor had announced that my father had a left frontoparietal and temporal subdural hematoma. In other words, he had a traumatic brain injury. He was most likely not going to make it. If he would make it, he would be a vegetable lying on a hospital bed for most of the time frozen. Most of his ribs were fractured, and he spent about 2 weeks in ICU. The one thing we dreaded and feared the most was having my father wake up one day and ask us, "Who are you guys?" At first, he would only speak in his primary language, which is Spanish, but slowly he began to recover. The doctor's exact words were, "This man is truly a miracle." Those words haven't left my head ever since that day. When he finally came home, day by day, night by night, support and supervision were our main jobs. Still to this day, there are struggles and obstacles we have to deal with and overcome. Not only has this accident scarred my father for life, but has heavily impacted my mother, sister, and I in several ways. My father would never be the fun and enthusiastic person he once was. Though this feeling of knowing that is terrible, what would have been worse would have been not having a father at all. Every day I thank God that I still have my father in my life. No one ever expects that something awful could happen to them at any second. That's why I always tell people to appreciate what they have when they have it, because they never know when their last day could be. Treasuring life is so important, and being alive is something to be thankful for every step of the way. Not only is my father a miracle, but more importantly, he is my hero, and I will never take that for granted.